So I'm here to talk about the buzzwords in the industry around generative AI, and everybody asks, hey SAP, what are you doing? How can we bring those kind of cool technologies into our core processes? How can we help, right? So just to kind of, provide an answer around that, right? So if you look at SAP as a company, it's been around for a long time, right? So we have the backbone for many organizations for more than 50 years, including multiple utilities organizations, right? So there are numbers like 75% of the world's transactions go through an SAP system. 3 out of 4 liters of beer that is brewed is going out of an SAP system. So with that kind of a legacy, typically SAP is seen as an organization which is not very agile, right? It is seen as a very strong backbone, but not as a platform to innovate it, right? So it is, a proud moment for me to say that among the top SaaS companies in the world, SAP is ranked number 3 in terms of its AI strategy, in terms of its ability to. I know it's on and off, or I can use this if it's. Check? Better? Okay, thank you. So as I was saying, SAP, in spite of having that backbone and that legacy, is still one of the most agile and AI forward companies that, is there out there today, and is something that you can innovate on for your core business processes. Now, based on that, our strategy as SAP for business AI is very straightforward and simple, right? So SAP typically from an ECC world is a system of record. With something like an S4HANA with real-time reports and all of that, Fiori and all of that coming in, started becoming a system of engagement. So suddenly you're not just pouring data inside this, you're also engaging with the system. And then today, with AI coming in, we are talking about a system of intelligence, where it is not just helping you to do transactions, but to intelligently continue your business processes based on this. Our AI strategy is also based on 3 pillars or the 3 R's. One is that we believe that any AI that we provide as SAP has to be very relevant to business. I cannot provide just a generic AI that is coming out of an open AI or a chat GPT, right? I ask a question, it gives an answer, but will you take a business decision out of it? Will you put $1 million into a site to open a power plant just because chat GPT said so, right? No. So the insights have to be relevant, they have to be reliable, and most importantly, they have to be responsible, right? Just for the sake of training an AI model, we cannot take all the data in the organization and expose it to the internet to train the model, right? So then all the IP that you have, all this secure data that is there goes for a toss. So while we leverage technologies like AI, how are we responsible in maintaining the sanctity of the data is again a very fundamental part of what we do. Now with that, in Sapphire 2023, which is our flagship event every year, which happens a couple of months back, we announced a lot of AI features out of the box on top of the S4HANA. And if you see, whatever is in black is the standard AI, whatever is in blue is actually generative AI. So if you see today, already there are more than 12 applications out of the box on large language models and generative AI that is available on S4HANA public cloud for you to use, without the need of actually worrying about how to bring these technologies in, right? And this is just one part of the strategy. Embedded AI is something that we will provide and we will continue to deliver as part of our core applications, but it will never be enough to do your last mile of innovation, right? Your specific business process will not always be 100% covered, just like the customization and Z tables that are there in SAP. So for that, we have 2 other capabilities of AI that we also provide. One is called the business-centric AI services, where SAP provides pre-trained machine learning algorithms. So if you want to do a cash flow prediction, you want to do a next best recommendation, so we provide pre-trained APIs available as part of the platform, where you can just consume them without the need to train them, given the fact that this has already been trained on anonymized data and provided and maintained by SAP. The third pillar is the open AI. So if you want to bring a Jupyter notebooks, Python based algorithm, or you want to bring something from GitHub, you want to bring in a chat GPT, a Bard into SAP, we also enable that using that third party or an open AI, right? So how does all of this translate into the business process? So SAP, as you know, is a business process company. We have the ERP doing the core, we have human capital, spend management, customer relationship management. So all of the AI strategy that we have is very, very focused around making business processes smarter, simpler and intelligent, right? So we want to use AI not just for, okay, give me some insights, give me some summary, no. We are actually leveraging AI for making business processes simpler, smarter and intelligent, and that is why the SAP's AI strategy very specifically talks about business AI. Now, what exactly is business AI? If you remember the first slide that I talked about, to go from a system of record to a system of engagement to actually a system of intelligence, right from your operations to your real-time dashboards and analytics to your company steering. Technologies like generative AI can play a part in every single place, right? So it is very fundamental to look at and say, okay, generative AI can play a part for my C-level executive, right? That is, everybody starts there. But there is a lot of capabilities that generative AI can also do in terms of your day-to-day operations or your day-to-day reporting. So we'll look at some examples of how that happens, right? So some of you might have heard about this solution called SAP Analytics Cloud, right? Have you heard about SAP Analytics Cloud? Some of you, right? So this is SAP's analytics solution for all of SAP's modules. So one of the most obvious question people ask with generative AI is, how can I ask questions in natural language and it can read all the data that is out there and give me very contextual insights and predictions and stuff like that. So even before generative AI became cool, last year we acquired a company, startup which was into business large language models called Ask Data. We acquired that company and we embedded that Ask Data capability into our analytical engine. Now it is called Just Ask SAP. So there are 4,000 plus customers of SAP Analytics Cloud in the world today, right? So this feature is going live at the end of next month or at the start of next month, and they will all have this generative AI capability for reporting and analytics out of the box when the release upgrades, right? So it looks something like this. I know the screen has become a little wide, but it still works. Right? So I can ask questions like, what is the revenue and profit by a particular country? It can automatically give that. Or on the top layer, I can go and literally ask any sort of a business questions. I'm just going a little faster for the interest of time. So trend the profit by year for a particular product line from a year. It automatically gives you some suggestions. You might want to do that analysis also. It also gives me some recommended filters, right? I can also go and ask it for some predictive forecasts based on consumption, based on production, looking at the historic data, what it could be, all in plain natural language, and the system converts natural language into a query, queries the data, and whatever charts you want, it actually builds on the fly with 0 lines of code, 0 lines of drag and drop or anything that you do. And this is something that is coming out of the box in SAP, as quick as next month, right? But as I said, those are analytical capabilities, but people always ask, okay, analytics, insights is all great, but how does this actually transform my core processes like order to cash, procure to pay, hire to retire and stuff like that. So as I said, it's the real power of AI for SAP is to leverage it to make processes autonomous. Now if you look at a very traditional example of a procure to pay process, which I have mapped, and in the bubbles I have called out where an AI can play a role, right? So for example, predicting the right quantity. When I am having a maintenance coming up and I have to predict how much supply that I need to know where to buy, when to buy, how much to buy and whom to buy from, right? That typically is not an intelligent decision today. It is based on various factors, it is based on inputs from the field. There is typically overpricing, there is typically delays, projects getting delayed and stuff like that, right? And that is something that a simple AI and an optimization at the start of the purchase requisition can solve. And this is just one of the umpteen number of possibilities AI can solve in the core process that SAP allows you to do. Now, I'll give you a practical example of how one of the customers is using this today, right, to shrink their P2P cycle time. So what they have to do is for them to fix a certain equipment, they need a lot of OEM components, right, in the excess of 3,000 every year, 3,000 different components. Now whenever these components come in, because they come in sealed boxes, somebody actually goes to the receiving bay, looks at the paper of the purchase order and says, okay, there were 24 materials that had to come, manually count whether there are 24 materials or not. If there are 24 materials, great, go back to the terminal in the office, punch the GRN, goods receipt posted. If by mistake 24 are not there, like in this case the reds that are there, there is a wrong product or there is a missing product, then you have to call the supplier and say, hey, there is something missing. He'll say, send me proof. You take a picture on WhatsApp, send it, he'll say, okay, I'll send it in the next shipment, right? And then that entirely delays that entire P2P cycle becoming longer. So what we essentially did was have a smart camera at the receiving bay, which was trained on the image of the product that was coming in, and it was also directly connected to the ERP system to know how much quantity every purchase requisition had or a purchase order had. So, and the person who was on the shop floor had a no-code based mobile app on which they were able to get all the pictures that the smart camera was taking, and it would count against the PR and say the status is pass or fail based on the matching, if I wanted 24 or 24 exact numbers there or not. And below there is a button saying send a mail with exception report to the supplier. So if the number is not matching, within the app he is able to send that to the supplier with a with the proof that it is not there. And in a scenario where this one is there, in the scenario where it is the supply is there, he can actually go ahead and automatically, you can see here there is a button called confirm goods received in S/4HANA. So if all the materials are there, he can actually directly do the goods received from there. So a process of P2P which was taking about 2 to 3 weeks was able to be reduced to a matter of hours by the automation AI that was able to be brought in using the BTP technology and the AI that SAP provides, right? So that is one example. The second example is also traditionally OCR for invoice recognition has a challenge that it has to be pre-trained, and many invoices come for the first time without any structure. So one of the approaches we tried was, we said, let us use an OCR or an image recognition and pull out all of the information, pass it on to a generative AI model, and ask the generative AI model to pick out the GSTN number, total, vendor name and all of that, immaterial of the structure of the invoice, right? So I suddenly am not caring about where the vendor's name is, where the total is, where the GSTN number is, because the GPT is reading the entire thing and then picking out only the relevant fields. So I can do all of that, and this entire from reading from Outlook to OCR to extraction to posting on S/4HANA completely on the technology platform was something that was done as well, right? Another example I think is very relevant in the utility industry is creation of master data. So you might be taking a lot of supply from somebody, and that master needs to be created in your own ERP. Somebody creates this manually, there is a lot of duplicates in that. So here we have a no-code based app that we have built on the SAP Business Technology platform, where I am able to take a picture of something that I want to create a master data of. In this case, I have taken the example of a simple bulb. Okay, so I am creating based on the product GTIN. So I am taking the product here, which is a bulb. I am actually scanning all the 4 sides of the bulb, and the OCR then converts every thing out there and converts it into English, and then it automatically picks up all the things that I need to create a product master. So things like title, the dimensions, the weight, best unit of measure, a sales text and a picture that needs to come from internet. All of this data is picked up by the large language model, and it allows me to automatically create, the product master within S4HANA. So this is just two things, right? It reduces the number of hours that it takes to actually create a product master, and second, it can actually go and check for duplicates before creating a product master, and if there is an 80% or a 90% match to an existing product, it can actually throw an exception, right? So massive amount of business impact that a simple LLM, large language model, can have. Another example, very similar technology is for reporting the EHS status. So here is a handwritten EHS or an incident note from a particular site, and somebody is scanned, and then the reporter, the person involved, incident summary, after reading it, the large language model is automatically able to do, and from here I am able to punch it back directly to the S4HANA EHS module, and I am able to then have the incident report in a much more structured format, right? So like this, there are multiple other scenarios that we are exploring, our customers are doing globally, especially in the utilities industry, right from time series predictions, optimizations, maintenance, security, to some of the trending topics of generative AI like customer service, product and service recommendation, document extraction, and all of that is something that we are exploring, customers are exploring, and the space is very, very dynamic, but it is delivered via the business technology platform. But one of the things people always ask and are very excited about is, hey, can GPT make my SAP implementations faster? Can it help me to write code faster, right? Can it help me to script faster? And that is something that we as SAP are also working on. So we have something called as a CAP GPT or a code buddy that is getting generally available in the business technology platform code builder, where you can actually have a side-by-side buddy which can keep looking at your code, look for recommendation, is able to do the testing for you automatically, and also deploy and see the load testing and stuff like that, right? So this is again, this will be a standard feature in our development module on the cloud, just to enable faster deployment, faster development, and lesser bugs in the custom developments that you do around the core BTP. So that's all I had. I just wanted to leave you with these ideas to say, hey, of course, SAP is a very standard system. It is a backbone to do your day-to-day transactions. But you don't have to look at any kind of innovations and all of that to be done outside of SAP, in a local system, and then try to see how does that get married into SAP, because everything and anything that you do will have a financial implication, or will have a logistics implication, or will have a supply implication. So the system of innovation and the system of record need to talk to each other, right? And that is where SAP is very keen to bring and enable all of these technologies as part of the core platform, right? And that is the strategy or the vision that we have to go from a system of record to a system of intelligence, and making business AI relevant, reliable, and responsible, so that you are able to take business decisions based on that, right? So that's all I had. I hope this was useful to know where SAP is going in terms of these latest and greatest emerging technologies, what you can expect out of SAP, and more importantly, know that SAP can be your innovation and transformation platform of choice, and you don't really have to look too far, right? So thank you for being a patient audience, and have a good evening. Thank you very much.